Did Virsyn just make Audiolayer the best multi-sampler on the iPad? Let's find out. Hey guys, Mitch here with the AudioDabbler YouTube channel, and the Audiolayer app by Virsyn just updated, and it has an automatic multi-sampling feature, which is really awesome and brings it up to par, close to par I think, with the auto sampler inside of MainStage, which is, you know, really awesome. If you have MainStage on your MacBook, you know, it has an auto sampler feature, and you can just set it all these different parameters. You can just sample anything you want to, hardware, software, and create an ESX instrument. And that was really beneficial if you wanted to have, you know, some of your instruments inside of your iPad. You could just sample it with auto sampler inside of MainStage, import the ESX instrument in, and you're good. Well, now Audiolayer has created that awesome feature inside of, or Virsyn has created that awesome feature inside of Audiolayer. And so right now I have my Triton Tactile 25 here that I haven't used a whole lot, but you know, it's on a shelf and I have to get it down and all this stuff. And so what I want to do is sample make a little patch from it. That way I can bring it up as an AUV3 whenever I want to. So I'm going to kind of do like a harpy pad. I just added just kind of the default settings for kind of the default settings for EOS into it, and so I'm going to bring up Audiolayer, and I already did this. I had to restart the video, but if you go in over here to the side, it comes up to default, and then you can go over, you can create folders if you want to, and that'll create a folder here, and then inside the folders you can create different instruments. Like I figured that Thor, since it's an IAA and not an AUV3, that maybe I will sample, bring in some of my favorite Thor patches. That way I can load them up inside of AUM or whatever via AUV3. And I haven't done that in the past because it's a little bit of a hassle to have to record each sample, each note. Well, now it's automatic. And so let me go back, let me go into Triton Tactile, let me create a new instrument here, and we'll call this one Harpy Pad. We'll hit enter. And now it created that new instrument inside of the folder of Triton Tactile. So now I can just click anywhere here, and that brings up this menu. If you're not familiar with Audiolayer, I have another couple videos. I think I'll leave a link in the description. There's two new features, sort of: record audio and record instrument. Record audio lets you record samples directly to the audio input. Start can be triggered manually or by next keyboard note, and then record instrument. This is the automatic sampling of MIDI instruments, and so I'm going to click that one because that's what we're going to do. And then you're presented with this list of options here that you can use. You can do a start note, so if you have a bass, you want to make sure you get that lower end. If you have something that has a lot of high end and not a lot of low end, then you can shrink down the sample amount of samples that you want, so you're never going to play this harp down at C-1 or C0 or whatever. Then you can easily take and you know, set the start note, or you can just click on it and press a MIDI note. You only want it in this particular range. You can do that as well. Now you can note stride. That's going to be how many samples it takes. Now you can sample every note if you want to, so that would be note stride of 1, and it would go through chromatically sample each one. If you wanted to skip every other one, you could easily do that. And as you can see over here, as I move these up and down, it's going to show you how long it's going to take, how many samples it's going to be required. So if I say I want to do every 3, that way it has a little more of a resolution and it's not having to stretch out the samples too much, then you can do that. If you wanted to do velocity, you can easily do velocity. If you wanted 2 different velocity layers, you could do that. Just for simplicity's sake for this video, I'm just going to do one velocity layer. How long you want it to sustain. So like if you were doing a pad, you'd want it to sustain out longer, and it will automatically do a loop point, which is really, really good. If you have like this harp is kind of plucky, so if you just want it kind of plucky, then you could set the start point down to lower if you wanted. Since I have a kind of a reverb attached to it, I want to stretch it out a little bit longer. And the release time is 2 seconds, and that's how much it's going to record after the note is released. And since I do have the reverb on it, I want to make sure I get that tail. And it's going to tell you how long. And so maybe I go up to, I think 2 seconds would probably be, we'll go 3 seconds here on that. Sustain it for 3, release it for 3, 6 seconds. Threshold is going to be how much it will stop recording once the threshold reaches negative 80 decibels. You can have it just for that specific time limit. So if you have something that is like doesn't sustain out for the whole 3 seconds, then it will automatically stop. But you can also adjust that accordingly. That way, if there is some notes that aren't as long as the other ones, you're not having a bunch of dead space. And so it kind of defaults to 80. I think 80 works out pretty well. All right, so inside of AUM, what I have to do before I click start is I have to make sure I'm routing this properly. And so over here at the top right, I'm going to click, and then I'm going to trace audio layer down to 4, because I know that that is where, if you see here, that is where this is residing. And if you don't know this about the Triton Tactile, the Tactile only has a MIDI out, 5-pin MIDI out, but it will receive MIDI notes via USB, which is something I don't think a lot of people know, and I've done a video on it. But I just want to reiterate that if you can get a hold of one of these, it's 500, classic Triton sounds. It's really, really good. Decent controller, but just having those sounds, at your fingertips is it's pretty good if you can get one pretty cheap. They only released them for a little bit and then they stopped. I don't know why, but so it's a decent controller. And so anyway, back to this audio layer going over to 4. Okay, so that's my routing. If you're using 8 matrix or any other thing, or if you're using an AUV3 instrument, then make sure you route the MIDI accordingly before you hit start, and then you can just hit start. And so you can see total time is going to be 151.6 seconds. Total number of samples 25. Say if I did 2 velocity layers, now it's going to be 303 seconds with the total samples at 50. And I think it just it splits the difference. Like it'll be like 0 to whatever, and then whatever up to 127 if you do as the velocity samples that way. I'm just going to do one velocity sample right now, and I'm just going to hit start. And you can hear the samples. Well, if I hit mute here, then I don't have to sit there and listen to this play each sample and record it and everything. So I'm just going to kind of let it sit here, and I'm going to speed up the video here so that way we're not having to sit here for 150 seconds watching me drink coffee. Alright, so it's built the whole instrument. It's sampled everything up, and as you can see, this is all the different layers right here that it created. So you can just go back in here. You don't necessarily have to do this. I think it's auto save, but I just kind of always like to save it. That way I don't lose any of my work. But you can see it sampled every few, and it built all those up. And you can go in here and you can see it automatically created some loop points. Now a couple other things that you kind of want to note. Let me just mute that, and let me bring this up so now I can play it so I can hear what it sounds like. you know, I mean, it's directly sampled from that, just threw a little EOS reverb in it, and pretty cool. Now, some things that you want to remember is you have layers, and so if you wanted to add extra layers, you definitely could. And over here on the side, you have instrument, layer, and zone effects. And so if I wanted the whole thing to kind of fade in, I would want to do the instrument and kind of fade that in, because it is kind of a pad, and I kind of want to release it a little more. Let's say about like that. Let's see. Release a little bit more, you know, and then always you have, if you need to adjust the level, you can add a little bit of level to it. You know, if you can add effects, if you want to add some drive, you can add a little extra reverb built into the Virsyn app itself. Let's turn that off. I'm just going to show you the difference. So here is what we sampled. And then here is, let me... I guess I did change the... Here's the original. Okay, and now here is what we sampled. I mean, so it done a really good job, I think, at sampling that. So that's really awesome. And so hopefully this video was helpful and useful. If you have any other questions about this app, I'm going to explore more. Maybe I'll do another video showing you how to sample an AUV3 instrument inside of that, or you know, maybe I'll go walk you through the process of like sampling an older legacy kind of app that, you know, may never get AUV3 support, and so, you know, you want to bring it in, bring some of your favorite patches into it. Maybe I'll do that. Leave a comment below if they would be interested in that kind of video, and I sure will do that. All likes are appreciated. Comments are appreciated too. Likes are appreciated. If you want to share it on your favorite social media site, go right ahead. And just the way this world is right now, just be safe out there and just love one another, but just do it, you know, 6 feet apart, I guess, right now. So talk to you guys later.